Racing League Division 3, the 4th round of the 3rd season of this league. It's taking place at Zandvoort, and it's going to be a decent one, so hope you enjoy. So I'm just sending the stream round. We will go in due course. Last time in Australia it was an absolute warfare. Lots of good racing. We had Jayslin take the win after starting on pole. We had Pat Pedder doing very good and then falling behind. We have Liam Mack getting in the points after capitalising on a bunch of mistakes near the end of the race. And we also had Morleader battling in the Alpine with the Hasses and Salvers and the Aston Martins. He got in a collision with Adrian halfway through the race. But apparently D4 is comless, that's a shame. So, we're loading in here to Zandvoort, round 4 of season 3 of this league. We hope everyone can enjoy. Hello in the stream as well. This will be uploaded to YouTube, so if you are not in the stream, that is fine. And hello to the YouTube viewers who are watching post-race. So I'm trying to become a real life commentator, and I have some news that I'll say in qualifying to say about my own personal news. So my own personal news is that I have been invited to Brands Hatch to do shadow commentating for a Motorsport Vision Racing event in mid-August. It's only shadow commentary, but yeah, I can't remember what event it will be for. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it looks like it'll be on the 13th or 14th of August, so that'll be good for me to do this kind of thing at a real life track in the UK. And also going to a college interview tomorrow to help make that dream come a reality. But anyway, speaking of what I am doing in real life, we have a Williams coming out on track, and that will be that's going to be Lloyd. Last time it was the Williams of Turbo Chris who stole the show in his performance in qualifying. He is Turbo Chris is in the session today in a V cab. Well, we head through this corner, and the car that got on the front row and finished in P2 last time out in Australia in D3 is now heading to turn 7 with a different driver, Lloyd, or as the dad at Ninjago said, Lloyd. But never mind. Anyway, we have a couple more cars coming on track. We have Nanu, who in the Red Bull did really well in the last race in Australia. And then also, who else was there? There was Trusted as well. He had a very good showing. He got P8 if I'm not mistaken in Australia. So very good showing from him. We have Liverpool 60-32. And then we have Raza Gamer, the man who was unfortunate to be in that clash at the Nelson Piquet corner in Australia, 3rd corner of the first lap, and hoping that he can show his pace in a better light today here in Zandvoort. Meanwhile, we have LS3810, and we have Alpha Heated going to Sauber instead of in the V car from last time. We also have GRL Atom, the championship leader, on his first lap out here in qualifying, number 13 Ferrari, flying round the banking corner. He's got a McLaren in front of him though. That's Jobo who's in front, who's the solo McLaren in this race today. We head through on board and we have a yellow flag in sector 3, probably traffic management. If we get the track map up, we can see what's going on. Yes, it is traffic management at the last flat corner on the track before the banking. We head through. That's And down into the straight, into the stadium section. We're going to go to Lloyd, who has a purple second sector. He's the first man to do a proper lap to put himself on the leaderboard. So let's see what Lloyd's pace is like. We didn't see his pace in Australia, but will we see his pace here today? And will it be able to beat the Freedom 46 car, who had a very good opening stage in Australia as a 192 set by Lloyd, immediately beaten by a couple of hundredths by GRL Atom, the championship leader. As meanwhile we have one of the Mercedes coming over the line. That will be Nanu, setting a lap of a 110.0, so that's 0.8 slower, and he is behind Trusted, who is right up there with a 193. And then who's the next one to come across the line? That's the Red Bull of LS3810. Then he gets leapfrogged by Raza Gamer by a couple hundredths, maybe a couple thousands even. And also Liam Mack goes ahead of Nanu by a couple hundredths as well. Alpha Heated going behind the championship leader. Top 3 separated by not a lot. Let's have a look. Gap to leader 4 hundredths of a second. And the top 4 separated by under 7 hundredths even. And the whole field separated by under a second at the moment. Next up we have Adrian in the Aston Martin coming over the line here. He got involved in a tangle in the last race in Australia with more leader. But he goes up into 10th at the moment, slowest person to set a lap so far. Then comes the Red Bull of Jammy, who had a pretty good run in, as that's Liverpool going through the gravel at turn 7 there. Not the best line there for him. And he blocks off one of the Ferraris there. What on earth happened there? He blocks off Josh. So AMS Josh, who's in 14th, getting blocked there by Liverpool. That looked very controversial. Lots of commotion there with the Alpine. We head down the straight. So AMS Josh here. Has he got any damage from that kerfuffle? It doesn't look like it, but he looked like he had to take a lot of evasive action to avoid a potential crash. Meanwhile, Chris is on his outlap. We're gonna ride on with him into the first corner, Tarzan corner, and we head into turn 2, and then the bowl light corner of turn 3. There's a yellow flag of the Mercedes, who's letting someone through as Pat Pedder up into 7th. Let's hope he has a better run today. Turbo Chris going wide there, and he's backed off the man who was on the front row in Australia, now on the back foot here at the moment. Meanwhile we have one of the Haas going over the line. That's Cartier going up to 9th. Great lap by him in the Haas, the number 19 Haas. We head through, oh, is that number 15 Haas, sorry. Pretty decent from him. Meanwhile his teammates coming over the line. Liam Mack, the man who got P9 in Australia. And is he going to get higher than P9 here in qualifying? No, he doesn't. He gets P12. He's being a solid midfield driver at the moment. I think Freedom has just got ahead of him. He's 4/10 off the pole time, as there's a yellow flag. That's one of the Saubers going slowly. I think that might be Raza Gamer. Meanwhile, I think one of the Ferraris are coming to line. That is Josh, who's coming into the pits after being 7 seconds up. Meanwhile, Turbo Chris sets a 1:19.7 on that backed off lap. It looks like he's going again for a more competitive time this time round, with 11 minutes to go in the session, as he heads into the 3rd corner, the bowl light corner, and then up over the crest. And unlike Logan Sargent, he's not crashed at this section. He's going up into turn 7 down the hill with that banking of gravel just next to him. Very intimidating gravel trap there to the unknown eye. Then round here, now Charles Leclerc crashed here in 2019. Oh no, 2023 even. Turbo Chris not seeming like to do the same thing. We head into the stadium section. He's looking like a very competent lap here by Turbo Chris. We have more leader on an out lap here. Let's see what kind of lap here he can do with the McLaren. Meanwhile, Turbo Chris coming through. There's a yellow flag for, I think, one of the Alpines or one of the Red Bulls. Heading into the start-finish line and up into 2nd place, 2 thousandths behind the championship leader of Atom. So that's the kind of pace I expected from Chris. Meanwhile, we have more leader. We're going to ride with him for a lap. We have Lloyd going up into 4th there. Absolutely madness. We have the Red Bull. Oh, more leaders backed off on his lap. Shocker for him. We have Liverpool on a lap in the Alpine, and he's got Ferrari behind him. Not too sure if that's Josh. No, it isn't. It's GRL at him, and seeing his antics with a Ferrari earlier in the session, the Scuderia is going to have to watch out for this guy. He looks like he's already causing them a headache, and it's not even been 10 minutes into the first session of the day here in Ground Effect Racing League Division 3. Meanwhile, we have one of the other cars coming towards the line. We have a purple sector there by Lloyd, who's a 10th up on his lap, and it looks like he could be setting the pole time. Meanwhile, I think more leader, he's set a lap and he's 9.2 off the pace. Then we have the V-Carb just in front, who looks like he's going to go in the pits, and that's a big snap through the banking for Lloyd, who was on a purple sector too. What on earth happened there? He's lucky not to be DNF'd out the session. But Lloyd with a very peculiar snap there. Meanwhile, 28 thousandths off the lap time. There's a 188 by LS 3810. Taking pole as there's a car off. That it looks maybe to be Liverpool. It is at turn 1. Absolute shocker for him. As he goes through turn 2, it looks like he has front wing damage on that side end platelet. So the number 88 car not looking like it's in too much of a world of good. Meanwhile, Nanu's on an out lap. I think one of the Saubers might be on a quick lap. No, he's not. Alpha Heated as well. He's coming into the pits. I think there's some traffic management here between Liverpool. Oh, that got very touch and go there. Look at the amount of cars here. Is that a Red Bull going off, or is that a Red Bull just staying out the way? Either way, that is a very clustered sector of track. 5 cars separated by barely 5 car lengths, it seems. As we head into the stadium section with Trusted, and on to the last corner. Meanwhile, I think who else could be on a lap? As we have Liverpool going through the gravel again, struggling for traction. As he comes into the pits, we have one of the Red Bulls, I think, coming over the line here. Jammy's on a lap, and it looks like who's on a lap now? There's a V-Carb round. V-Carb, that's AJ Nolan, who was 46 thousandths up on his lap, coming out of turn 9, I'm pretty sure that is. He's now around. Pat Pedder and Cartier have set the exact same lap time. A 1:9.589, and Pat Pedder goes and makes a change to that and goes within a second or so of the pole time. Within half a second even. That's mad for a quick second there. No, 2 drivers with the exact same time. As AMS Josh up into 13th. There's a yellow flag for him, waiting for people to go by. It's nice driver etiquette by him. Meanwhile, the Ferrari of GRL at him. No, it's not. He's coming into the pits. Another car coming into the pits as well. Alpha Heated. He looks like he's on a lap. One of the Red Bulls. He might be on a lap. That will be Jammy. And he's coming into the pits as well. Jobo is on an out lap. One of the Mercedes on a cool down lap as well. Nanu, here we go. He's 3.4 off the 3.6 even off the pace. Not the best one for him, as GRL Atom has left the session. Does he need an invite back? I reckon he does. That isn't me disconnecting. That is GRL Atom disconnecting from his own lobby. Absolutely incredible stuff. Peculiar stuff for sure, but absolutely. Wow, commotion here for the championship leader, who's a 10th off pole at the moment, but he is now looking to get back into the session. Meanwhile, Lloyd heading into the pits. One of the Hasses, I think, coming over the line. That's Liam Mack. He's coming into the pits as well. One of the Ferraris of Josh as well. They're all diving into the pits here. Meanwhile, Freedom, who had that snap at this very corner, the banking, Also coming into the pits, it looks like Jobo is the only one on a half decent lap. Him and Turbo Chris as well. He's 13,000 sub, so we're gonna watch him because he is looking quick. Although he's how is he 13,000 sub? Then he's got 9/10 down somehow. Not the best look for him at the moment. He's up in P3 at the moment. He was on the front row before that 188 came in for LS 3810. And meanwhile we have Liverpool just behind him on, oh no, it's more leader who's just behind him here, look. More leader looks like he's going to go on a lap. Jobo I think is on a lap. GRL Atom, the championship leader, has now returned to the session. So all hope is not lost for him, but he'll be hoping for nothing in his Wi-Fi to go wrong for him in the race. Meanwhile AMS Jobo 2/10 up, heading out of turn 7. Here in Zandvoort, the Sandy Fort racetrack. Zandvoort in Dutch means sand fort, a literal sand-made fort. But you can probably tell why it's called Zandvoort here because of all the gravel, or the sand-looking gravel. Meanwhile, we have a yellow flag for traffic management for one of the Alpines. That's more leader. Meanwhile, AMS Jobo, who had a pretty sluggish session in Australia, goes up to 16th. Much better qualifying for him compared to Australia. The McLaren's looking good in qualifying, but then they just dropped off in the race, ending up P19, P20 in the running order. As who else is on a lap? I think Jobo just ended his lap, so I think the next person to be on a lap is Cartier, the man who was tied in lap time with the man who's in P4, Pat Pedder, who had a pretty decent run there as one of the Saubers going slowly. 195.89 is the time to beat for Cartier. Number 15 Haas heading through into the bowl light corner of turn 3. And the man sharing the same number as Kevin Magnussen in the World Endurance Championship. And the man who has a team from the World Endurance Championship put as a sponsor on his car, Toyota Gazoo Racing. Meanwhile, I think Jobo's just backing off. He might have ran out of fuel, but everyone's coming out for this last run here in qualifying for the Dutch Grand Prix, the Holland home ground of Formula 1, as we head into the stadium section yet again. And into the stadium section, nice and clean here by Cartier. He's got that Red Bull in front of him. That might be Jammy or LS, the 3810, the pole man. So LS, who's starting a lap, I think that is Jammy. So Jammy's the man ahead of Cartier, who goes up to 8th, 2/10 quicker. Great lap by him. And he's only a couple hundredths away from Trusted. And there's an Aston Martin in the middle of the track. There's commotion near the back there, look. 4 cars in a state of traffic at the moment, as one of the Ferraris looks like they're starting their lap. I think that's Josh. I think someone's may have just gone off. There's a lot of traffic management going on here as we head through. Jobo's out. Jobo's retired from the session in the pit lane. He doesn't want to take any further part in this session. Meanwhile, we have Jammy 700ths up on his lap. We have more leader and Liverpool, who's just gone 4/10 quick on his lap. He's up into 11th. Meanwhile, we go back to Jammy, the man who's just behind the championship leader, GRL Atom, as AJ Nolan retires from the session. On the banking, he's had a massive shot on the banking. I don't know what it is with that banking, but it looks like people are struggling around that corner. Jammy over the line gets up into 13th. We have one of the Aston Martins next up in line to take a jab at the pole time. That is going to be not Adrian, that is going to be Trusted starting his lap. One of the Mercedes coming over the line to start his lap as well. Then comes Pat Pedder to start his lap. Then comes one of the Saubers, and that will be Raza Gamer, who razzes up to 3rd ahead of Turbo Chris. That's the pace he needed to show in Australia but couldn't show and he's just been bumped down by the other Ferrari of Josh. So it's a Ferrari 2-3, and there's a Williams again. It's Lloyd for the second time in this qualified session. He's off at the last corner. Absolutely shocking. But as he tries to stay out of the way, that's a very bad section to be on track. Very distracting place, and very hard to rejoin safely. As he comes onto the track somehow safely. He goes into the pit lane. There's another improvement by LS3810. Great lap by him on the PlayStation Red Bull car. Meanwhile, Adrian goes just behind his teammate. It's Aston Martin 910. Then comes his own teammate Trusted, who's 600 up on his lap. What's that going to do? He doesn't go ahead of Lloyd. He's a 10th down on his lap. The Mercedes next up in line to take a jab at the pole time. Nanu goes up to 5th. Pat Pedder goes to P2. Incredible lap by him to get his Mercedes onto the front row. That pushes the Ferraris into an all-red second row. Raza Gamer thinks he can't do any more. AMS Josh goes over the line, and is that going to be it for qualifying? Yes, it is. So D3 for GRL qualifying ends with LS3810 on the pole. Then comes Pat Pedder in P2. Then comes the owner driver, the Niki Lauda tribute flag for Ground Effect Racing League, Atom, who's ahead of his Ferrari teammate AMS Josh. Then comes Raza Gamer, making up for that lost time in Australia. Then comes Nanu, who was fighting for P4, P5 in Australia. Then comes Turbo Chris, the man who started on the front row in Australia, goes down about 5 positions. Then comes Alpha Heated, who spun in the last few laps in Australia. Then comes Lloyd after having trouble on that last corner banking. And then comes the rest of them behind, the Aston Martins 9 and 10. So, while I take a breather, we will get ready to start this race. And reports of one of the Williams being reckless, that could potentially, and it's raining here in Zandvoort. This is going to be chaotic. 2023 flashbacks from the real life race may seep into the memory of those who watch F1. Here we go. So, as the cars line up on the grid, looking at the Tarzan botch corner. Then after they go through Tarzan, they go into Gerlach. Then they go into the Hugen Holes Bowl corner. Then they go up over the crest of Hunsrück. Then they go sweep through turn 4 and 5 into the Rob Slottermarker corner, which is the corner just before turn 7, otherwise known as Skivlak. Then comes the Masters corner. Then comes turn 9, turn 10, or on this map it's called Botch 9, Botch 10. Then comes the Hanshurst corner, just before the stadium section. Then just before the banking, it's the Cumhall corner. Then comes the Ari Leondike corner, otherwise known as the banking. I'm just going to call it the RE banking. So that's the corner names for Zandvoort. I would do them in English, but it is a Dutch track, so I'll just keep it in Dutch, because why not? So, anything I need to know before the start of this race? Anyone has got any predictions? So Lloyd, who's 3rd in the championship, if Lloyd is 7 points behind in the championship, So if he wins and the other two do badly, he may take the lead of the championship today. More leader, who's starting somewhere low if I'm not mistaken. He got 8th in Australia, 14th in the first round, and then he got a miraculous 2nd place. So if he can sort his consistency out, that would be great. But here we go, 5 lights on here for the Dutch Grand Prix in D3 of Ground Effect Racing League. We are away, and it's a decent start there by LS. Then comes Pat Pedder, who gets the jump into turn 1, round the outside, and Pat Pedder takes the lead though on the inside of turn 1. There's a car wide, that's one of the Alpines though, dropping all the way down. That might be more leader as we head through turn 3 and into the banking. The two Ferraris squabbling away, and Raza Gamer with a great start from 5th, challenging for 2nd as they head round the next few corners into the Skidvlats corner. And what a move there by Raza Gamer, doing a great move on the outside of turn 7. Beautiful stuff. A terrible start though from the pole sitter LS, who falls into the clutches of the Ferraris. There's battling at the back here between Adrian and Turbo Chris, who's on his back foot at the start as well, and all of them being very treacherous on traction. Meanwhile, one of the Alpines, the Liverpool, battling one of the Williams. That's the Freedom 46 car, who had his work cut out for him in Australia, and he has his work cut out for him here as well. As we head up the order, one of the Hasses, is that wing damage for one of the Hasses is his. Cartier, who has tied lap times with Pat Pedder at one point in qualifying, has now got damage to his front wing, if I'm not mistaken. His end plate looking to be missing. So they head round the last corner and down into the Tarzan corner. Jobo here battling with Liam Mack, who looks to have been on the back foot at the start. But it's Pat Pedder who leads, and it's Cartier who's battling Jammy into Tarzan Bend. Coming out of turn 1 and into the Gerlach corner. And it's Jammy who's ahead up to 13th, although round the outside of the Hugenholz corner, the banking. And it's a great move by Cartier, who's ahead of the Red Bull, who we're on board with. Jammy ahead. Then comes then comes Liverpool, then comes the Williams, then comes the other Alpine. Meanwhile, Jammy looking to Pat Pedder even looking to keep Raza Gamer behind him. He's 3/10 at the moment. Meanwhile, the Ferraris looking line astern behind the Red Bull. Liverpool and Jammy still battling. There's contact between the pair of them, and they head 3 wide into Botch 10, and now out onto the straight into the Hans Erst corner. This being the little 90-degree corner that the Liverpool car is on the inside of the Freedom 46 car, and they come out into the Kumho corner and round the outside, side by side between the Alpines, heading out of turn 13 if I'm not mistaken. The Kumho corner heading around the Aria banking and down, and that's actually going to cost more leader a chance at keeping one of the Hasses behind, as down the inside of his teammate goes more leader. He's looking very desperate to get past his teammate, but in doing so he's making himself vulnerable to Liam Mack, who in turn is making himself vulnerable to AMS Jobo. This battle for last is almost as good as a battle for the leaders. Now Liam Mack gets compromised by the Alpine, who backs the Haas back into the McLaren. The Toyota Haas gets absolutely gazumped by Jobo. Not the best luck for him. Meanwhile, Raza Gamer takes the lead from Pat Pedder. Must have missed this. Pat Pedder lost the lead, and he's not the only one losing positions. The pole sitter losing places at the start to the Mercedes, to the Sauber, who's made up 5 places in this race, and he might lose a place to one of the Ferraris. Meanwhile, it looks like the other Sauber's got his work cut out for him, as down the inside of the Aston Martin, not going to make the move there, as heading down into the Kumho corner and onto the Aria banking. The Aria banking, I think I'm pronouncing that right, not too sure. Meanwhile, the Haas playing the Hunter, and the hunted at the moment. Jammy's chasing him down, but he's also looking to get alpha heated even, but that chase is going to have to wait, as Jammy, the man who's 2nd in the championship, the runner-up at the moment, as the side-by-side between the Ferrari and the Red Bull, and they're 3 wide nearly, as the other Mercedes of Nanu getting involved as well. So as the Sauber takes the lead, the Red Bulls, the Ferraris and the Mercedes all in third degree warfare for P3 at the moment, as LS dropping more positions like a pin, and GRL Atten, the championship leader, falling behind Josh, and off wide there goes LS, conceding more positions in a way that he does not want to, going off onto the grass as if it's Rallycross, and the Oracle Red Bull Racing needs a miracle to get up and get those places back as we head into the Hanshurst corner with the Red Bull and around the stadium section. Absolute heartbreak for the Red Bull at the moment, but heading on to lap 5 is the Sauber of Raza Gamer HD, who is making a very high definition gap to the man in second. Pat Pedder, who started in second, took the lead off of LS, who's had a very sluggish start, very sluggish first 5 laps in the number 2 Red Bull. Meanwhile, the other Red Bull's in a battle at the moment. There's lots of battling, one of the Williams battling one of the Hasses, and also another Red Bull battling another Sauber, but this time it's Jamie against Alpha Heated, and the man who's runner-up in the championship gets up to 12th. And then coming round the Hugen Holz corner, and out over the Hunzerg, and onto the Rob Slottermarker comes the Haas into Skilovac corner, and then out onto the Masters corner with the Haas. Meanwhile, when the Alpines having to watch out because the McLaren here right behind, and one of the Haas's have gone off wide here. That looks to be Cartier, who now makes it a Haas 18-19. So not a very good day to be a Haas driver at the moment, as there's wing damage for one, and he's dropping like a pin at the moment. Meanwhile, Jobo trying to battle at the moment, and LS, the pole sitter, spinning round, and the pole sitter goes from P1 down to P6, and he has spun out of the stadium section, and round Como corner he's lost the position to the Freedom 46 car, and he's down into 14th. Absolute shocking driving, or shocking luck even, for LS 3810, and he hits the wall, and the pit entry, he nearly spins, but that was very close to a spin there for LS 38. As meanwhile, AMS Jobo on the inside of Morleader, who gets the traction out of that corner, and AMS and Morleader, who's 4th in the championship, now trying to regain momentum to keep that 4th place in the championship, and he needs to get past his teammate most likely to help him out in this championship battle. Meanwhile, we have Jamie still trying to catch up to Trusted. Okay, and then my bad, and then comes Lloyd and Chris being in a battle with the car that he drove in Australia. He's not driving that car at the moment. Instead, it's the 42 of Lloyd, who's driving the Williams today, who's playing the Hunter and the Hunted, and Adrian, who's back battling in the top half of the midfield of GRLs. Meanwhile, look at the kerfuffle of cars here, as round the outside nearly of the Como corner goes the McLaren, and there's Pat Pedder battling with one of the Ferraris, AMS Josh. As we're watching AMS Jobo trying to get past from the Alpines, Pat Pedder's lost another position to AMS Josh. And it's great racing at the moment, as meanwhile Jamie is battling with Trusted here, as you can see. Very close racing at the moment, and we cut back to this battle in last, and as we cut away from AMS Josh getting past Pat Pedder, we're looking at AMS Jobo trying to get past one of the Alpines, Morleader or Liverpool. It looks to be Morleader, which will be the first one he'll get by if he makes a move stick. There's Liverpool looking very consistent, but not looking to be helping his teammate out in any way, shape or form at the moment, as they head into the Masters corner right now with AMS Jobo. And then the Haas is following suit. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of LS 3810, massive shame for the Oracle Red Bull driver, who started at the top of that leaderboard but now is right at the bottom of it, Massive heartbreak for him. Meanwhile, the person who's inherited the top of the leaderboard, despite starting 5th, Raza Gamer. Great lap from him, and he sets a fastest lap of a 1:20.6. And meanwhile, the pole sitter, this just gets even sadder as we go on for the Red Bull. I feel so bad for him. Meanwhile, Lloyd into the pits. Interesting. What tyres is he going on? So the Williams car of Lloyd. Looking. Ooh, another set of hard tyres for Lloyd. Interesting. And the Hatters as well, who have nothing to lose. Also into the pits, and they're in for hard tyres as well. I'm surprised they're not in for mediums, but they're double stacking. That's going to cost them time, but I wonder if it is time for the dries. It's down the inside, maybe goes GRL at him. This looks like a very opportunist move on Pat Pedder, or yeah, Pat Pedder, that sounds like the right way to say that name, is around the outside of Botch 10. But he's not going to make the move there, he's ran out of road. And now heading into the next corner, the Hanshurst corner. And the Ferrari in a Mercedes sandwich. Ahead of him is Pat Pedder, who's in a Ferrari sandwich as well. So meanwhile, we're having a look at Jobo here, who's trying to catch up to the more leader entry, the Alpine. Oh, down the inside, there's contact between the pair of them. P15 and P40 making contact. There's now gravel on those intermediate tyres for more leader. And that looked to be very... there seemed to be a lot of commotion there for the Alpine. As meanwhile, Trusted and Jammy going side by side into Tarzan corner. Good move there by Jammy to get ahead of Trusted finally, and nearly a spin there for Trusted. Meanwhile, AMS Jobo goes ahead of more leader, who pits, and maybe he's following suit with Lloyd. Let's see if he's pulled maybe an overcut. It doesn't look like it at the moment, as coming out of the pits and going on that inside line through Tarzan corner. LS has set the fastest lap, and that is on Inters. So maybe the dries aren't the right tyre to be on for now. As it looks like coming off the grass maybe is Lloyd, 2 wheels in the grass, heading through the Hugen Holes corner. As meanwhile we have Jobo coming out of that corner. We have the Mercedes and Ferraris battling at the moment. We have more leader. Is that him being passed there by... Yeah, more leader struggling on those hard tyres coming out of the pits. And I think one of the Saubers have just gone off. Mate, is that Alpha heated? Yes, it is. He's got gravel on his tyres. He was battling the Freedom 46 car, but seems to not be battling him anymore. Meanwhile, the Ferraris and the Mercedes battle is heating up. One of the Hatters have gone round. That is Liam Mack. Shocker for him. But meanwhile, Pat Pedder trying to play the hunter and the hunted, and it's going the way of GRL Atom, who's all bearing down the neck of that Crown Strike Petronas Mercedes car of Pat Pedder, who was so quick in the early stages of Australia, but had some mistakes seep in. But meanwhile, Pat Pedder, who's looking to do much better than he has done in Australia. Massive turn of form for him in this changeable condition race here in Australia, in Holland. As meanwhile we have the Ferrari of GRL Atom, and that is Raza Gamer lapping Liam Mack after his gamble on hard tyres not seeming to pay off at the moment. The dry tyres seeming to be very much slower than the Inters. Excuse me. Anyway, there's Raza Gamer once again proving that theory of, and a 10-second penalty for Liam Mack. This has not been the race for him as he retires from the session. There's the yellow flag warning drivers of that, and another fastest lap from Adrian, and meanwhile Lloyd and LS38 battling. Well, I say battling, it's more just Lloyd losing time on those hard tyres. I'm surprised they haven't gone for medium tyres to warm them up quicker, but alas, they've gone for hard tyres and they've paid a really big price for it, and it is very unfortunate to see play out. Meanwhile, as the yellow flag is out at the Gerlach corner for the Haas retiring of Liam Mack, LS3810, who's in P15 at the moment, making some ground up after those spins early on in the race, lap 6 and lap 7. But I think AMS Josh has just gone a bit wide here, and that's maybe given a little sniff here to Pat Pedder, who's looking to maybe get down the neck of Josh, but he's got to play this smart because he can't go for anything too risky, because he's got his own teammate and Josh's own teammate just behind him, ready to pounce if anything goes wrong. But it looks like something might not go wrong here, so the Mercedes goes alongside the outside of Tarzan corner, but he's not going to make the move stick as Turbo Chris is the fastest lap of the race in the V-Carb. The man who drove for Williams before has just had his lap beaten by Jammy on the Inters. Fastest laps coming in, so the track is improving, just not for dries yet, as that's where the Ferrari is at the moment. As Jobo in Liverpool, someone's off. That is More Leader again going wide, and that was a voice crack of all voice cracks. Speaking of cracks, it looks like they're cracking, and the medium tyres have gone on to Liverpool's car. This will be interesting. The strategy that I've been saying about, let's see if it'll come to light. So those tyres warm up a lot quicker, as wide goes Adrian. Adrian making mistakes on those inters, maybe, so it is the crossover point. I reckon Mercedes are going to have to pit Pat Pedder now to have any chance of jumping the Ferrari. Small Leader gets a penalty and retires from the session after his hard tyre gamble not working. But Mercedes need to pit Pat Pedder now to maybe have a chance of getting ahead of Josh and pulling an undercar on Atom. So round the banking, and yeah, following the advice there, Pat Pedder gets into the pits, and he doesn't speed into the pits no matter how close he was. More Leader leaves the session and into the pits onto, what tyres is he going on? He's gone onto hard tyres. Hard tyres are the prime option of tyres at this stage of the race. And what on earth is going on here? There's an Alpine in the middle of the track. That was More Leader's car, who was stopped in the middle of the track in the pit lane, and that has massively held up Pat Pedder's time in the pits. That is going to benefit Ferrari in this race completely. That is absolute heartbreak for Pat Pedder, who again strikes another piece of hard luck as AMS Jobo gets ahead of Pat Pedder, and the strategy that would have worked looks like it's coming undone for the man on hard tyres now. Not the best look for Pat Pedder. More people coming into the pits. LS38, who has been setting the times alight in terms of fastest laps, comes out on medium tyres and he hits the wall, lighting up the red tyres on the exit of the pit lane, and he spins coming out of Tarzan corner on the pit exit. Absolute madness as the leader comes into the pits with a big lockup. And AMS Josh, and a 10-second penalty for AMS Josh. The Ferrari man who was ahead in second place comes into the pits in the number 2 Ferrari, and another 10-second penalty for corner cutting for AJ Nolan, who looks like he's gone straight over the stadium section. Look at the busyness of the pits here, mediums and hards galore. Let's get up the tyre graphic to see what people have gone on, and let's get up the lap data as well, why not? 14 places up the order goes Jammy. Incredible. As he hasn't made a pit stop yet, no, but if I'm not mistaken, in a wet race you don't have to make a pit stop, but he will have to make a pit stop because he'll lose time. Meanwhile, Adrian struggling as Pat Pedder goes through on the hard tyres, and because of that Alpine glitch, the Alpine staying still in front of him, and because he had no control of the air, nearly a spin there for AMS Josh. That was heart in the mouth stuff to even watch, let alone be in the car for. Meanwhile, Raza Gamer in P4 at the moment, the highest placed driver on the hards, and the man who has been controlling this race like it's a DualShock 4 controller for the PS4. But heading through his teammate in 6th place, trying to chase down the Freedom 46 car. Wonder if Sauber could play the ultimate team game here and hold up the 46 car to maybe help out Alpha Heated. More people in the pits. That is Trusted, who's into the pits as well. GRL Atoms going out for another lap. I reckon GRL Atoms should pit this lap if I'm not mistaken. That would be the wise thing to do in this scenario, in my own opinion. But coming out the pits is Trusted. Pat Pedders jumped both the Aston Martins, and he might even get ahead of Jammy here. This will be very important for the championship. And coming into Gerlach corner, they're side by side, and Jammy falls behind Pat Pedder, who in turn sends Jammy into Adrian, going through the Hugen-Holz corner and up and over the Hunzerug. And Jammy losing places as we want down the inside of Alpha Heated goes Josh. And the mediums look like the tyres to have at the moment. The mediums are the option tyre at this stage of the race. Lots of people have gone onto the prime tyres in order to keep their primes going for a long time. Meanwhile, there's an absolute melee going on in the background. Look at this. There's a 3-car battle. The V-car goes through. Goes AJ Nolan. He's had his own Hamilton moment as they come out of Botch 10 into the Hanshurst corner. The Red Bull helping out the junior car of AJ Nolan, who's got a 10-second penalty for going off at this very stadium section corner. And the Aston Martins, who were 9 and 10 at the start of this race, are now 12th and 13th. Raza Gamer inherits the lead with the fastest last sector. AMS Josh in second place. GRL Atom following my advice and pitting. And coming out of Tarzan corner, he might come out ahead of Nanu. No, Nanu has jumped him in the pits. That one lap has really cost him, but he is on fresher tyres though, so he might be able to catch up. What are the Red Bulls off? That is again LS38. That is not this is not a race for him to remember. It's a qualifying for him to remember for sure. Heading around turn 1 there, AMS Jobo comes out behind Liverpool as we head up the order. Just checking on everyone, making sure they're all okay. As Cartier retires from the session in the pit lane. Not the best race for him, not the best race for Haas. Today, yes, in Australia it was for McLaren, the bad race. Now it's for Haas and for half of the Red Bull garage and half of the Alpine garage as LS38 finishes off what was an absolutely diabolical end to what was a great qualifying performance from LS38. But speaking of Raza, he's just had his fastest lap taken off him, a 16.6 for AMS Josh, who's got that penalty hanging over his shoulder. As we see coming through the Gerlach corner, we see the Haas in the background pulling off at that corner as we see the Ferrari going over the Hunzerug corner, the Hunzerug crest even. And so we have one of the Aston Martins going into the pits here. That is Trusted into the pit, so with a 10-second penalty, and he retires as well. 5 cars retiring in this race, 17 laps in. And they're changing his win, but they needn't have bothered. As meanwhile, Trusted leaving the session. Meanwhile, Lloyd catching up to the 11th place Sauber. So both of the worst placed cars of their teams at the moment. And the best placed Alpine of this race, the sole remaining Alpine, watching on as Lloyd's trying to get past Alpha Heated, as Lloyd, the man in 3rd in this championship, 7 points behind coming into Zandvoort, looking to get into the points, and he will get closer to that as he's now past Alpha Heated, heading through the Botch 9, Botch 10 section. As AMS Josh sets another fastest lap, he's got the pace to maybe catch him, challenge for the win if he can get that penalty taken off. But Lloyd now, he needs to catch to his teammate, and the Williams, I don't know if there'll be any team orders to help him out in the championship. But if so, that'll really help him in his fight with Jammy and his fight with GRL Atom, who's catching up to Nanu, who got ahead of him with an overcut in the pit stop run. As we go back down, Alpha Heated struggling on tyres. Maybe he's going through a stage of graining. Either way, 6/10 up in his lap, but not fast enough to keep the block past Liverpool car ahead, or keep him behind even, as Liverpool goes ahead on those 6 lap old mediums. Although I wonder if those mediums will die off later on in the race. Although they're the option tyre for the moment, the prime tyres might be the one to have, and hence why the majority of drivers have gone for them. And DRS range for the gap for the lead. So we're going to watch Raza Gamer, the man who got turned around at the BK corner in Australia, looking to maybe, just maybe, turn that disturbing weekend, in that disturbing Monday from last week, into a brilliant race win here in the Dutch Isles, the Holland home of racing. Adrian with a 3-second penalty for corner cutting, or for multiple warnings. And as he heads into his 19th lap, Raza Gamer on his 19th lap, trying to pull the gap on AMS Josh, who's had the pace to match the base. Don't know where that was going, but 3:10 top on his lap is Raza Gamer. That's a purple lap from him. So Raza Gamer looks like he's pushing now on these prime tyres to pull a gap on AMS Josh. Meanwhile, AMS Jobo looking on this battle between Alpha Heated and there's a car off, and that's GRL Atom, the championship leader, off, and he's let Turbo Chris through. He's lost the gap to Nanu now, and Pat Pedder, who lost out to GRL Atom in the pit stop run due to a very peculiar glitch with an Alpine of More Leader who was stopped in the pits, causing the pit stop AI of Pat Pedder to stop in the pit lane. Pat Pedder might, after all, catch up to GRL Atom and pass him after all. And actually, this will be music to the ears of Jammy, who in this championship fight might be able to leapfrog GRL Atom if this luck continues. Absolute madness as the fastest lap goes to AMS Josh. And AMS Josh, nearly said Joe, but then Pat Pedder sets the fastest lap of the race. He can sense the opportunity of a P5 finish, looking for a top 5. Meanwhile, the top of the order looks like it's going to get heated soon between AMS Josh and Raza Gamer. Lloyd takes the fastest lap with a 15.3, so the track has really improved over these last few laps. The track evolution matching that of the human race over the last century, or the last few centuries even, last millennium should I say, as we head through Botch 10 and into the Hans Erst corner. And as AMS Josh catches up to one Sauber, AMS Jobo catches up to another. For very different positions, yes. As we head out of that corner, Raza Gamer here on lap 20 of 36. Katia leaving the session. He's P16 after such a promising qualifying, but it's not turned out to anything. And did you see that wiggle? That, I reckon, is what happened to Lloyd and what happened to one of the V-Carbs. I think it was Turbo Chris. Oh no, it was AJ Nolan, but into the lead goes Josh at Tarzan corner. He's making use of those option tyres, those medium tyres, while he still can. But Raza Gamer looks like he might be able to pounce back at him in these next few laps with those fresher hard tyres. So although the leaders are off the table for now, it's not off the table in terms of the end of the race. And look, he's staying close to him, to be fair, as they head through the Skilovac corner. Very, very decent stuff here, as I think AMS Jobo could be shaping up for a move on one of the Saubers. So as AMS Jobo got past the Sauber, it looks like AMS Josh gets past one of the Saubers. AMS Jobo looks like he's catching one of the Saubers as well. Looking to make up time. Is down the inside, maybe into the Hans Erst corner. Nope. Not going to make that move stick for Raza Gamer, but he is looking like he wants to maybe battle and maybe hurt the tyres of AMS Josh, which would help him in this stage. As nearly a loss of traction there, and nearly doing what AJ Nolan did in qualifying and DNFing out the banking. And into Tarzan corner, well, not even into Tarzan corner, way before that, into the lead goes Raza Gamer. Incredible. As into the Gerlach corner. Incredible stuff here for the lead of the race. And the battling's going on at two ends of the table at the moment, as the leader battling with a Sauber battling for the lead and another Sauber battling for 14th place. Look at this, AMS Jobo might finally get the run on his Sauber driver. Liverpool pits onto the mediums and gets a penalty for it. Down the inside goes AMS Jobo, and will he get the move stick on the Sauber? Yes, he does. At Tarnstein corner, they're going to be fighting this one out into Gerlach corner and into the Hugen Holz corner. AMS Jobo takes 12th, but AMS Josh looks to hope to take the lead of this race, as the fifth retirement of the race, sorry, for Liverpool, the other Alpine. So it's an all Haas DNF and an all Alpine DNF So shocking for two teams who are in the World Endurance Championship in real life. And down the inside goes the Ferrari of AMS Josh, taking the lead back that he lost on lap 22. But on lap 23 here, he's gotten the lead back as he heads through the whole Hugen, what's it called, the Hugen-Holz corner, onto the Hunzerug crest, and down into the Rob slots marker, round Slovak, and then into the Masters corner in 3-1 now for the leader, AMS Josh. But he's got to try and pull out that DRS gap, because otherwise Raza Game is just going to do what he'd done on lap 22 and just breeze right past him with ease. With lap 21, sorry, as we head into the Hans Erst corner. 3/10 down on his fastest lap for AMS Josh, so racking those medium tyres, those option tyres from before. He's the only man left on medium tyres, and although they aren't the oldest tyres on the grid in terms of the compound they look like they might be wearing out in the same way as, I thought he was pitting there, but he's going up to the pit wall to break the toe from Raza Gamer, who goes round the outside here, turns iron corner on lap 24, and with 8 laps to go, well, with 12 laps to go, sorry, Raza Gamer takes back the lead again from the Ferrari, who was teammates with the guy who just set the fastest lap, and the guy who is also trying to catch up to Turbo Chris, who had a great qualifying and a great Australian Grand Prix, finishing in the place that AMS Josh is occupying at the moment. Turbo Chris in P2 in Australia, he's in P4 at the moment, so he's doubled places down at this stage of the race. Nanu, who was 3rd in qualifying, jumped Turbo Chris at the start of Australia, ends up coming through this section ahead, just like in the first few laps of Australia. We ended up losing it due to a fallen through strategy, but Turbo Chris here looking to defend from the championship leader, the Ground Effect Racing League Atom. 68 thousandths up on his fastest lap so far is Turbo Chris. Meanwhile, we head through this corner and it looks like Raza might have the gap to AMS Josh, who pits off of the medium tyres. Now, this will be interesting to see what tyres he goes on, and big lockup for Josh here. Nanu goes up to P2 and it's another set of medium tyres, but he has that penalty to serve for speeding in the pit lane on his last pit stop. As Jammy sets the fastest lap, that'll help his championship hopes against the man who's in P4 now. As Turbo Chris gets moved up to the podium, Lloyd sets the fastest lap and he's just behind his Williams teammate. He'll need all the points he can get in 3rd in the championship to hopefully stay ahead of More Leader, who's DNF'd earlier in the race, and the man who may or may not have cost More Leader, or may or not have cost Pat Pedder a chance at jumping GRL Atom in the pit stop run. Meanwhile, Josh comes out of the pits. He goes from P2 to P11, and the two AMSs, 11th and 12th, ahead of the Alpha Heaton man, who's teammates to the leader, who's ahead of Nanu and Turbo Chris. But Raza Gamer, I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but I reckon he's made, if he can finish in this position, this will more or less make up for the absolutely awful Australia that he had in last Monday, the 7th of July 2025, where he had that horrible race. But 10 laps out from what looks like to be a certified win, Jammy getting another certified point for fastest lap. Meanwhile, one of the Aston Martins in the pits, that's Adrian, and he just about comes into the pits without speeding. Meanwhile, Lloyd pits and Adrian retires from the session. Very peculiar. He becomes the 6th man in this race to retire with 10 laps to go, lap 26 of 36. And he retires in P13. Meanwhile, the Williams have swapped places, and that means Lloyd will get a decent haul of points, although he won't be able to jump Jammy or GRL Atom. But he will be able to certify his lead over More Leader, who ironically is being led by Lloyd and Jammy and GRL Atom in the championship standings. Here in Division 3 of Ground Effect Racing League, the most effective use of the ground in sim racing. Meanwhile, AMS Jobo losing time to the fresh, medium-tired AMS Josh. Then comes Alpha Heated, who looks to hopefully crack Jobo out of pressure, or looking to crack down on AMS Jobo to try and get P11 in the same way my voice is cracking in the latter stages of this race. As meanwhile, AJ Nolan losing another position to Jamie, and while he was gaining positions in the last 10 laps of the Australian Grand Prix, he's losing places in the last few stages of the Dutch Grand Prix. But what he doesn't need to do is spin, which is what he did in the last 3 laps of the Australian Grand Prix. But meanwhile, the Williams looking very close together here, the Alassian Williams cars, who have that Duracell advert with Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon, but Lloyd and Freedom looking like they've got some, well, I was about to say AA batteries, but looks like they've got the battery to outpace Formula E with this pace, to give them 8th and 9th, but won't have the pace to get them anywhere near AJ Nolan or any of the V-Carbs, any of the Mercedes. Mercedes in the Constructors are going to score big today. Sauber, obviously, they're going to score big as well. I think Sauber are going to outscore Mercedes with that win. So if we check the Constructors Championship, as we cut back to Turbo Chris and this battle with the 2 V-Carbs are in very heated battles. One of them's trying to defend, one of them's trying to catch. But as we have a look at the Constructors standings here for Division 3, Williams are in the lead of the championship, and they are 9 points ahead of Mercedes at the moment, though I reckon Mercedes will be able to leapfrog at them in the championship, and as I do the maths now, they will get ahead of Williams in the championship, in the Constructors Championship, as they will be on 18, 10, they'll be on 28 points, so actually no, they'll outscore Raza Gamer as well. So Sauber, even with that win, won't take home the most points in this race, as 28 points will go to Mercedes, discarding the fastest lap as GRL Atom's just got wide. The chase goes down a couple notches for GRL Atom, who was looking to chase after Turbo Chris and is now on the back foot, as Pat Pedder looking to maybe make a charge at GRL Atom, the championship leader. Meanwhile, the runner-up in the championship at the moment, that being Jamie, who heads into Tarzan corner and then into the Gerlach corner, which is this little kink just before the banking corner here, the Hugen Holds corner. Then up and over this crest, and through goes Alpha Heated on Jobo, and he gets another position up for Sauber, and it's all ones in their placements for Sauber at the moment. We turn to Audi next year in real life F1 as they head over the crest and into the what's it called, the Rob slot marker corner, and then round the Sklavak corner, and then into the Masters corner here with Alpha Heated. Meanwhile, his teammate leading up front by 4.286 seconds. Meanwhile, it's very spread out up until the battle between the senior Red Bull car of Jamie, who's trying to hold off AJ Nolan, who's got DRS on him, but he has that penalty hanging over his shoulder for, I think he must have missed out the stadium section corner, the corner just after the Hans Erst corner. Whereas we have a look front back, it looks like being very confident on the brakes is AJ Nolan. It looks like there's a car in front there, Pat Pedder. Has he made a mistake? It looks like it. Pat Pedder, it looks like he's made a mistake, and it looks like the Red Bull and the V-Carb looks like he's going to battle him. Meanwhile, the V-Carb of Turbo Chris is now back under pressure from one of the Ferraris, the championship leading Ferrari. And meanwhile, the other Ferrari is about 6 seconds away from this battle between Alpha Heated and AMS Jobo. Meanwhile, AMS Josh's teammate looking to maybe have a charge on Turbo Chris. Meanwhile, AJ Nolan, can he get the run that he needs to get out of the Como corner and around the area banking, the Leonardic banking. Doesn't look like it. He keeps dropping to about half a second. He needs to get within 4/10 of him, pretty much, to be in with a good run or good chance to get past him. With 5 laps to go of this race, I think we're going to cut back to this battle here between the Sauber and AMS Jobo. Looks like he's made a mistake here, so it doesn't look like the move's on for them. Meanwhile, Turbo Chris trying to hold off GRL Atom, the championship leader, who's looking to snag a podium off of Turbo Chris, who, as we head through botch 9 and into botch 10, I think Turbo Chris, if Turbo Chris gets this podium, this will be a back-to-back podium for him, as he got the podium P2 in Australia, and then he'll get P3 today if he holds off the Atom of Ground Effect Racing League in Division 3. Meanwhile, Jammy and AJ Nolan coming through the Commonweal corner and onto the banking. Let's see, 4/10, that's the gap that I said he needed to be in, but he's dropping out. It looks like he hasn't got the straight line speed to compete with the Red Bull, but the Red Bull of Jammy himself is looking like he's going to get backed up here by Pedder in the Mercedes, the Petra and Pedder, who's keeping the Red Bull in a jam sandwich between Pat Pedder and AJ Nolan. Meanwhile, the Williams line is down here in 8th and 9th. This will really help Lloyd in the championship to maybe keep his hopes alive in this championship race, as Lloyd, who's only 7 points behind in the championship, will be looking for every point he can get. As meanwhile, look at that, going defensive is the Red Bull of Jammy here. So yeah, it looks like more downforce than AJ Nolan, meaning he's very quick in this section. Maybe he can get the move into the Hanshurst corner, which is the 90-degree left-hander that comes up, the corner that Pat Pedder's at now, and the corner that AJ Nolan's just hit the apex of, and now he's gone through the gravel of the corner after the Hanshurst corner. But he looks like he gets such a bad run out of this corner. He isn't able to challenge. Look, the exit, and a bit of a snap there. Atom gets past Turbo Chris. Turbo Chris loses the podium to GRL Atom. Jammy gets past Pat Pedder. Pedder loses the position to the runner-up in the championship, so the top two in the championship making up places here on lap 33. The number that Max Verstappen used to own. Now the number that is on the lap of the two championship contenders in Ground Effect Racing League. Meanwhile, the teammate of the leader loses the place to AMS Jobo. It's an AMS 10-11 here, and it's a Sauber 112. It's a Sauber sandwich effectively, as it's a three-way battle here between Pat Pedder, Jammy and AJ Nolan. AJ Nolan looking like he's going to catch up to Pat Pedder, but looking here at the moment, Pat Pedder and AJ Nolan heading into the Hanshurst corner. There's 90-degree corners. Big slide there by Pat Pedder. I thought that was going round there, but he just managed to hang on to it, and he's really struggling here on those old tyres, and that might open the door for AJ Nolan, who's on the same amount of tyre wear as him. The number 11 car, previously owned by Sergio Perez, as AJ Nolan, the Ground Effect Racing League's Atom, gets passed up into second place. Nanu losing places. I wonder if he's made a mistake, because he was well ahead of this battle, but he has lost places. Meanwhile, Jammy ahead of Pat Pedder, but not being passed by AJ Nolan. The V-Cars losing places, the Mercedes losing places in this latter stage of the race. I'd be surprised if the lead is lost to Raza Gamer, but the Atom preserving that championship lead over Jammy here in round 4, extending the gap, and as he would get 18 points for the win. For second place, Jammy would get 10. That means that gap that is currently 3 points would balloon to about 11 points, if I'm not mistaken, between the top two. And then Lloyd would drop even further back. He would drop to about, I'm not too sure, maybe, what was I say, for, I'll do the maths later on. Meanwhile, we'll cut back to Turbo Chris. He was looking in the 72 V-Cub to get past Nanu. He got past him in He got past him in Australia, and he'll get past him on the inside into Tarzan corner. That was a very touch and go moment there, nearly contact between the V-carb. Meanwhile, talking about V-carbs, not going to get the move on the other Mercedes. So one V-carb gets past one Mercedes at the top end of the field, but at the lower end of the field, it's not the same story for AJ Nolan, who's struggling with a lack of, with an increased amount of drag on that car. Meanwhile, the Williams here just looking to come home in 8th and 9th. Then comes AMS Jobo, who looks to have got the position back on Alpha Heated, looking to have driven a very competent race in that Sauber. Congratulations to him, although the result won't show it. He has driven a very decent race. Let's talk more about Raza Gamer, the man who is currently in P10 of the championship. This will absolutely balloon him ahead of Pat Pedder and potentially Nanu as well. It's been an absolutely incredible race for him so far, and making up for that Australia race that didn't go his way when he finished 15th. Although he beat his teammate, that was the only driver he beat in that race. Meanwhile, Turbo Chris gets back ahead of GRL Atom. Atom loses the place. There's contact between the pair of them as they head into the Gernach corner? The Gerlach corner. And heading out of the banking over the hole there. I got mixed up with my words there. And it's an absolute battle and a half for second place here between GRL Atom and Turbo Chris. And there's more battling between the other Sauber of Heated, who gets back past AMS Jobo as they go into Gerlach corner respectively. It doesn't look like GRL Atom will be able to get past Turbo Chris, so that gap that was 11 points before now looks like it will go down to about 9 points, maybe 8 pointers down the inside. Not going to make the move there is GRL Atom. Not going to make the move stick, but round the last corner, it was 15th in Australia, but he's come up from down under. And here in the Dutch Grand Prix, Raza Gamer takes the win in the Dutch Grand Prix ahead of Turbo Chris, who takes back-to-back second places. Then comes the Ground Effect Racing League's Atom, going from 5th in Australia to 3rd in Zandvoort. Then comes Nanu, who got a podium in last race but has been denied this time. AJ Nolan finished in about P5, P6, ends up in P9 on penalties. That means Jammy in P5. Championship game on between these two, Jammy and Atom. Then comes Pat Pedder, and then also game on in the championship for Lloyd, who finishes in P7 thanks to the penalty. 6th place for Pat Pedder, and the AMS boys coming home in 10th and 11th. Then comes the other Sauber, the teammate of that man, Raza Gamer, Alpha Heated. Is absolute joy for Raza Gamer. Redemption from Australia. And in a race with mixed conditions, Raza Gamer has mixed it up and kicked his way to the podium and cooked the rest of the field like they're a bed of steak. It's Raza who razzes his way to the top of the podium ahead of the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls car, and that's a result of that a team who once was Minardi would have only have dreamed of barely 20 years ago. So that's the end of the race. Your race winner is Raza Gamer. The fastest lap goes to AMS Josh. He will then get 2 points as he finished in 10th. Jammy gets the most overtakes and in turn gets driver of the day after his incredible performance closing the championship gap after finishing 5th. Then the cleanest driver turns out to be Freedom, the number 46 guy who finished in 8th behind his 3rd place in the championship teammate Lloyd. But that is the end of Ground Effect Racing League in Australia for Division 3. I hope you all enjoyed this race. And does anyone want to pass anything on to the viewers before the stream ends? Yes, I was a bit tired, I must say. I've been a little bit tired, but hey ho. My bad for the yawning. think it's because I haven't drunk a lot today and it's been scorching. It's absolutely toasted me. Anyway, thanks for the raise, everyone. And anyone want to pass anything on to the viewers of the Twitch stream, soon to be YouTube video? And feel free to do so. As I was going to read out some of the lines of the week, but actually they're not as good as I thought. But anyone want to leave any kind of messages or anything for me to pass on to the viewers? I think Raza will want me to congratulate you on a well-deserved win. As I think Alpha Heated putting a W in chat. Thanks for that. There's Dan FM 232 asking if I was tired. I'm tired after the heat in the UK at the moment. In Plymouth, it's been absolutely scorching. And he's saying that one of the Williams were reckless in qualifying. And then there's just some guy promoting Stream Boot asking me to pay for viewers, which I'm not going to do, as I would rather just do this for free and have fun rather than pay and have a hassle. So anyway, that's the end of this one, and I don't think there's anything for me to pass on. Okay. Okay, right, I'm gonna end the stream off, I think. I don't think there's anything else for me to do here on this particular stream. Okay, check Twitch chat one last time. Nothing's in that. Okay, thank you everyone for watching this stream, and I'll upload this to the YouTube channel in due course and then send it into the Discord server for the drivers to watch and for the other people in and around Grand Theft Racing League to be able to watch the third division of this league. Last chance to be able to pass on any messages to the viewers, drivers and anyone in chat. I think that's going to be it then. So, see you all later, and goodbye.